We saw a few changes at practice yesterday. I think some good, some bad.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Darrell Dapprich, Montgomery radio legend, hanging out with us as we dap it up on this Wednesday edition of the show. Should Auburn be the underdog heading to Fayetteville this weekend? Lane Kiffin had some comments. We may have a potential Dap rant ready to go there, but some of the notes coming out of practice yesterday I thought were interesting. I want to start with the most impacted position at center because we saw Kail Ellis relieve Connor Lew, and obviously Connor Lew out for the year. And I thought Kail Ellis did solid, all things considered, right? And it seemed like Kail Ellis was with Ashton Daniels and Mason Murphy, which you kind of said this was going to happen earlier in the week at his presser. They were going to move him to center and then put Too Tall at tackle. I don't love this move. I think Kail Ellis should start at center and keep the tackles the way that they are, unless you want to put Too Tall in at tackle. I'm a Too Tall truther. I don't like this move, and I hope this kind of works itself out closer to game time.
It's amazing because when they signed Murphy, he was listed as a guard or a tackle. I don't ever remember seeing him being a center. I mean, so that's a lot of versatility if he can be your backup center.
Sure, yeah.
I guess my concern with that, or where I agree with you, is that Ellis has played well, other than a few snaps being high or whatever. I mean, he's played. Auburn had a really, really successful drive. It might have been their touchdown drive when he came in the game. They were running the ball effectively right behind him, up the middle between the tackles. I think he acquitted himself well both times he's played this year. So I'm always of the philosophy, why change two things when you only have to change one?
There you go.
You see what I'm saying? So moving him to center is one change, which you have to make that change there. There's nothing you can do about it. And then putting Too Tall in at tackle is another change. I think for continuity, which is very important along an offensive line and an offensive front, the less changes you have to make, the better, because of chemistry, getting used to play to each other. So I would rather just make one change, give Ellis a chance. If he's struggling, then you always have going to Murphy in your back pocket.
Yeah. So we're in agreement there. I'm curious to see what the starting offensive line will be against the Razorbacks. I think it's a good opportunity for Kail Ellis. He's going to be your starter next year. Why? I think it makes you better this weekend. I think it makes you better in the future. I'm rolling with Kail Ellis.
You know what it reminds me of? When Jones got hurt 2 years ago. Avery Jones, right?
Right, and then it was Connor's turn.
It was Connor. They didn't move somebody over that they could have. I'm trying to remember. Was it Tate Johnson that could have played center? I think it was.
Yeah, he was guard at that point.
Yeah, but there was a backup center, and they didn't. They went with Lew. Now, Lew may be more highly thought of than Ellis, but Ellis is pretty good. So they did that 2 years ago and went with the freshman. Why not do it again?
Mm-hmm. Right. Another change that I thought was interesting, normally the defense all stretches together and warms up together. The offense did it by position. They all warmed up together and kind of mimicked the defense. I thought was a little interesting.
That is interesting.
Does that matter? I'm not sure.
I don't know. Sure. I'm probably burned out on trying to look for little clues and little things that I think is like matter. Like at the press conference, the post-game presser, I noticed that Cohen and Jackson weren't there. First time Jackson Arnold wasn't there. First time Cohen wasn't there, but then Cohen came in later. So I look for these
Jackson
little.
Not being there is a big deal.
It is
the podium
thing. People,
right.
I don't know. I need
sometimes
to
it
quit.
Might matter. Sometimes it might not.
I'm probably come from a family of overreactors, and it's probably time for me to stop overreacting.
No, I think that's why you're good at this job. It's because of that. The Darrell Robinson was in pads, which is huge.
That makes me feel really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, we saw Ashton and Jackson obviously kind of get reps as the top two quarterbacks, which surprises.
That's a perfect storm for me, isn't it? What would be the perfect storm for me is Ashton handing off to Darrell in a game.
Wow.
It would be a constant. I mean, that would be from the preseason, and remember though, how much I hyped up Jeremiah Cobb for 2 years. I did.
That's right.
And that's kind of come to fruition, hasn't it? I kept saying he's running back one. He's running back one.
You nailed it. Yeah, absolutely nailed it.
I would love to see a scenario where Ashton Daniels hands off to Darrell Robinson. That would really kind of get my football my football enthusiasm back up a little bit.
Yeah, no, never mind. Yeah, for sure. And then do you think there's any competition, any chance at quarterback that it's Ashton Daniels on Saturday, or do you think it's Jackson no matter what?
I think it's Jackson compared to what Kyle said. We had Kyle at practice and who comes out first. And he actually said, someone asked him point blank who looked the best at practice. And he said Jackson. But we're talking about practice. If you get into a scenario in the game where it looks a little flat and a little stagnant, if you want to spark, then I do believe this time a change would be made. I believe Jackson starts based upon practice, but I think there's a shorter leash and more of a willingness for Hugh to put Ashton in a game to get a spark.
Yeah, which I like that he specifically said spark earlier in the week. That's normally something that, we say,
I said
fans
it.
say.
I said that to him. Yeah, I asked him that about a spark. And
okay.
Yeah, in one of the pressers about personnel changes or whatever. But I mean, it's again, and I think a very underrated point that we've made before, I think I made it on the post-game show to you, was sometimes benching your starting quarterback ends up making your starting quarterback better too. They get a chance to get over there on the sidelines and watch the game from the sidelines and refocus, recalibrate. It happened with Peyton Thorne last year.
Happened with Jackson last year too.
It happened with Jackson at Oklahoma. So I'm not saying that's why you make the change, but sometimes it can be a byproduct of a change, is that your number one gets dialed back in too.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I don't hate that at all, but we'll see. I mean, hopefully they play strong enough against a not very good defense where this conversation at the half doesn't need to happen. And it's like, cool, they're moving the ball against a defense that they should move the ball against. Like that's the narrative. That's what we all want here.
The narrative ends one way or the other come Saturday night. This narrative about we're close, the teams we've played have been 23 and whatever combined, the defenses we've played have been some of the best in the country. That all ends. That all ends Saturday. Arkansas has a losing record. Their defense statistic, now they're playing better and they put points up on A&M, but their defense has been Swiss cheese. They have a losing record. No more of that narrative can be mentioned after Saturday night, one way or the other.
Yep. That's right. Lane Kiffin had some comments that are interesting. And should it change how the offense operates moving forward? That's next, right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus awards than anyone else. From footwork to every single technique that athletes sweat all the details, Mazda brings the same intention to how they craft every single model. You can feel the Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. Like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. Today's show also brought to you by our friends at Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. It's their most advanced equipment yet, designed to give you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running or lifting or cross-training with your favorite instructors. This is training reimagined. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with tools that help you plan, stay motivated, and reach peak performances. So let yourself run, lift, flex, and push forward. Explore the new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus today at onepeloton.com. Darrell Dapprich, Montgomery radio legend, hanging out with us on today's edition of Locked on Auburn. Lane Kiffin at his press conference earlier this week, prepping for Oklahoma. After watching the Oklahoma-Auburn game, he's like, hey, Hugh, you may want to change your signs. It's pretty clear they knew what was coming. This would answer several questions about the offense. He added like that the safeties breaking on slants, which they dropped that pick, which probably would have been 6 the other way if he would have caught it. It could have gotten ugly. But I think this is interesting, and like, what are Lane's motives in doing this? Does he want to embarrass Hugh? Does he want to call Hugh out? Is this just their part of back and forth or Lane's obsession with Auburn? I don't know. But if what he's saying is true, that is a problem.
Well, for people that are driving down the road, I hope they don't run off the road when they hear my thoughts on this. Because typically I say that whatever Lane does is to troll Hugh Freeze. And I'm not taking that stance. A couple things. First of all, I think what he's doing is some gamesmanship with Oklahoma. I think he's given Oklahoma something to think about. If they do have signals or they think they know tendencies, he's making them overthink some stuff. So I don't think he's trying to show up Hugh in any way on that one. I don't think anything that he said is illegal, and I don't think he tried to insinuate that what Oklahoma was doing was illegal. I want everyone to understand the context of it is that he's saying they're really, really good at film study, and they're picking this up from watching film, not that they've got an eye in the sky or a spy during games. Anybody can watch film, and if you pick up tendencies and signals from film, good for you, right? So there's nothing that he is saying that makes it nefarious. Oklahoma's not doing anything wrong if they're doing that. I think it's gamesmanship to make them have something to think about it. My problem, and where I would have a rant about, is number one, why is it that an opposing coach has to tell you that? Why are you not picking that up yourself as an offensive staff? Why are you not looking and saying, that looks awfully much like they've got our signals, we better change them? Now, I'm not saying that I'm on the field and I know that if you Freeze and staff after the game thought, they did, but obviously something's a disconnect. It's embarrassing that they wouldn't be changing the signals, and Oklahoma is able to get that from tape watching, from film watching. But I want to make sure everyone understands this. I had to do a little bit of research on this because I got the question a lot on X when I retweeted the video. People said, what does it matter with helmet comm? What does it matter if it? Well, remember now, you can only communicate through the helmet with 15 seconds left on the play clock.
Turns off at 15 seconds.
It turns off at 15 seconds. So at that point, you have to hand signal if you want to change the play, or if defense lines up in a certain alignment, you want to change it in audible, whatever. So that's why it matters. And if they're not changing, again, I guess it's just another indictment of, I don't think the intent was to make him look stupid or to embarrass him, but it did come across as embarrassing that Oklahoma knew Auburn signals, and why aren't they changing them from game to game? If you watch a game from week 3 and you have signals, by God, you better not be using them when you play Oklahoma. That's my point, is that it should change. And then when the guy asked Lane the question, do you change signals week to week? He looked at him and he said, that's a great question, and I can't answer that because it would give up a competitive advantage, which tells me, yes, they do. Yes, they do. And so, I don't know the whole backstory. I'm not in the staff meetings, but if that's the case, and Oklahoma was able to get Auburn signals from watching tape, that's unacceptable.
Let me spin it the other way, if you don't mind.
Sure.
What if this is a thing and it's well known what we call in, and that's been it's gotten around Georgia, Oklahoma, A&M, Missouri. And if they say, okay, well, let's change how we communicate, whether it's signaling or however you're getting the plays into everyone. Because once again, the helmet comms, it goes to the quarterback. That's it. That's the only person they can talk to. What if they change that? And like that's one of the big things that are hindering this offense. Could that be a net positive? I'm really trying to bug here, Darrell. That's all. That's all that I'm trying to do.
It would be
I'm just
good
asking
for the
question.
moment. No, it's a great question. It would be great for in the moment, and it would be great for in the future. But it would make you very frustrated that you laid some games and some points on the table.
It wouldn't be the most shocking thing in the world, would it? Where it's like, oh, this is a detail, a pretty large detail, but like we've seen details kind of, some get overlooked, especially when it comes to communication. That's been a thing that we've heard under Hugh Freeze since he's been here. So I kind of wonder, like, the reason I ask it, and I'm not believing this, but I am asking it because, like, I don't think it would be crazy if that was part of this.
But how would that make you feel? It would give you hope for future games. And wouldn't it make you feel a little bit regretful about the games that took, like,
I feel regretful about the last 4 games anyway.
I mean, but the what if,
I don't need any help feeling that way.
Yeah, I mean, we can play there's so many what ifs, right? In the last 4 games. Anyway, there's officiating, there's special teams, there's drop passes. You could just add this to the collection of regret and reflecting back and go, oh my gosh, really? If you just would have changed the signs, that would be maddening. But it wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me one bit. But it's a great question.
Oklahoma knew what Auburn was running?
Absolutely. Go look at that film where they jumped the slant and was running towards the line of scrimmage when he went back to pass. It's not even a look downfield where you see a certain look or you see a receiver cut. He cut on the ball, broke on the ball before the receiver did. Before the receiver got out of his break.
Do you think other opponents in the last 4 games knew what Auburn was running?
I think that it would speak to the fact that when Auburn scripts things, they look so much better that first or second drive. And then when it's unscripted and things become a little bit more situational, they don't look, and especially in the second half. What if you're able to go in at halftime and look at film, look at iPads and go, look, when they do this, when they do that. Well, we know that. What did he say about Georgia? We didn't change anything in the second half. Remember? Kept running the same plays. So Kirby Smart and them looked at the iPads at halftime and said, if they do this, we do this. If they do that, we do that. And it didn't. And that's what they did in the second half. And Georgia was able to adjust. That to me, you know what's coming. I mean, I don't know. This has been
Gary Patterson, the former TCU coach.
Yeah.
He does he's teamed up with Locked On. He's one of the panelists on our national college football show that we do on Amazon Prime every week. Seems like a great guy. He went on Locked On Ole Miss. I think this was last week or 2 weeks ago. And he was talking about with Hugh Freeze. They knew what he was going to run. I guess they played each other when he was there. He knew what he was going to run based off of where the tight end was.
Oh, wow. Because they would have played at TCU and Ole Miss would have played in a bowl game, I think.
Sounds right.
Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, that makes sense. And this has been a perpetual Auburn problem. I don't want anyone to
Peach Bowl in 2014.
Okay.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
And then TCU won 42-3.
Sounds like he knew.
It's like, yeah, I believe you. I believe you, coach. You know.
Do you remember though how angry people used to get during the Gus era when the defense would be calling out the plays at the line of scrimmage, yelling them out too? I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's the life of an Auburn fan, I guess. Offensive woes, whether it's route tree. Al Borges was the last time I think that, the difference was
Auburn Schwartz came on this show and was we've got all these routes and passing patterns that we want to practice, but we wouldn't run them in a game. And I'm like,
there was a time though that you knew exactly what Auburn was going to do, but you still couldn't stop it. That was 2013. You knew exactly what was going to happen, and you still couldn't stop it.
Yeah, and to some extent, parts of 14 as well.
17. 17. No, actually,
17 I don't know. That was like an actual offense.
Chip Lindsey was in his bag. Yeah, he was. Yeah, he did some really good things.
with Stiddy and Carry On and
the
Slayton.
The throwback screen against Georgia was still one of the best calls.
Iconic.
Yeah, I mean,
it's iconic.
If they'd have thrown that to me out in the flat and you were pulling as the guard, I walk in.
Yeah. You think?
Well, in 17, 17, not now, but in 17, maybe, yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
4.9 speed still would have got it done.
Okay. I love it. Should Auburn be the underdog going into this weekend? Yeah, I think so. That's next, right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Game Time. Went to the Patriots-Titans game last weekend, Darrell. I bought my tickets on Game Time. It literally took 20 seconds. I followed your advice. I did the lightning deals. There's an indication there of like, is this the best deal? And I'm like, okay, I looked at it for a second, but then I started looking around and I'm like, yeah, like these truly are the best price based off of, where everything else was. So it's that easy, Darrell. Like there's no reason to go anywhere else.
I got Pelicans Rockets tickets for last Tuesday, right in Birmingham. I was going to be covering SEC Media Days in Ballin and Boutwell. So the Rockets and Pelicans played in Legacy Arena, and I got them on Game Time and got really good seats. I mean, they were in the second level. They were a great deal. Got to see Jabari and KD and Zion, who's lost about 70 pounds. Looks like it was good stuff. Were your seats where you took the picture from?
Yeah.
Those were great.
They were great seats.
Yeah.
It's the lowest I've ever paid for a Patriots game. Some of that was the Titans, but Game Time also made that very, very easy. So download the Game Time app today. Use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off today. Today's show also brought to you by our friends at Alumni Hall. We love Alumni Hall. It's where we get all of our Auburn gear. About ready to go and get some stuff for basketball season, Darrell.
Perfect time to do it. And you're like I mentioned before, now it's time to get the cold weather stuff, right?
That's right.
You switch gears a little bit and go from T-shirts to hoodies and stuff this time of year.
Yep. They got 3 great physical locations in Auburn, Opelika, and Huntsville, and of course online at alumnihall.com. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Auburn opened as a 1.5-point favorite over Arkansas. Now Arkansas, a 1.5-point favorite over the Auburn Tigers. We may get more movement. I was a little surprised when I saw, but after I sat down and the shock wore off, I'm like, no, I get it. I get it because me personally, I don't think I can pick Auburn this weekend against this Arkansas team. So I can't in good faith say that they shouldn't be the underdogs.
They haven't lost a game where they've been the favorite. Remember, the Baylor line moved and Auburn became the favorite again, and they won that game. And, of course, they were a favorite against South Alabama and Ball State. And then Auburn lost 4 in a row where they were the underdog. That's why I thought that, perhaps this would be a pick 'em or Auburn would be favored just based upon who's Auburn's played. Like if you look at the schedule that Auburn's played as opposed to Arkansas, you look at the closeness of the games, whatever. I thought that would have created the illusion that Auburn should have been.
But it's not like Arkansas has played the easiest schedule in the world.
No, I mean, they've played A&M and they've played
Ole Miss, Notre Dame.
Yeah. Yeah, they've played a pretty tough schedule too. Yep.
Yeah.
The difference is Arkansas lost a game that they were supposed to win, and Auburn has not. The Memphis game.
I forgot they lost Memphis.
So
which now looks worse because of the UAB thing.
Absolutely, it does.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I understand that. Do I think they should be underdogs? No, I do not.
You don't. You think Auburn should be favored?
I think they should be favored.
Are you picking Auburn to win Saturday?
Stay tuned, my friend. Stay tuned.
Not quite ready. Not quite ready to nail it down.
I'm ready to nail it down, but I'm not ready to reveal it because
we need people to tune in on Friday.
Yeah, exactly.
I get it.
Yeah.
Showmanship. That's all this is a little showmanship. Who are you expecting to see a better game from on offense? Defensively, we all believe in those guys. Offensively, who are you wanting to see more of against a defense that should be a mismatch in favor of Auburn?
Singleton. I think there were some missed opportunities there that weren't his fault. A couple routes missed, a couple overthrows. I think after Coleman got over those early drops, he had a really nice game. I think Perry Thompson, absolutely, it was his breakout game. Loved what he did. We need to see a little more Malcolm, too. Didn't get to see the ball thrown to him much at all Saturday night from as far as
they didn't target him.
Yeah, so there you go. Much at all means zero. I'd like to see him get targeted some and not just run jet sweeps.
I mean, it almost seems like they've just relegated, I guess is the word I'm going with, Malcolm to this gadget guy. And I don't love that. Perry appears to be wide receiver 3 at this point, which is fine. And I think at one point in the offseason, we said if Perry won the wide receiver 3 battle, it'd be the best case for Auburn. And I mean, he was certainly a bright spot on the offense, but just them not being able to use all these guys is very sad. I mean, we talked about the depth of this receiving room, and there are guys that we're not even talking about that aren't playing, like Sam Turner, right? That we believe in.
Horatio Fields, who's hurt.
Yeah, right. Right. Which
Auburn hasn't won a game since Horatio Fields got hurt.
That's true. That's true. But like we talked about this depth, and like the depth doesn't even matter at this point because they can't really even get the ball to 2 or 3 guys.
That's sad. That's it in a nutshell. That's it in a nutshell. That is such a statement of just, wrapping it up into one sentence is that how does depth help you? What good is depth if you can't even get it to your top 2 guys?
Right.
So, and I don't want to, I be doom and gloom. I'm just stating facts of where we are at this point.
Auburn,
it doesn't mean that it can't change. It's just to this point, Auburn's struggling getting the ball to even their playmakers.
Yeah. Yeah. And they should be able to move the ball more on Saturday. We're all hoping they can move the ball more on Saturday. I think it just comes down to, can you do what we've been wanting you to do all year? What we have been expecting you to do all year. You don't do it against Oklahoma. Okay, that's fine. Their front seven's crazy. Same with Georgia. But like you saw glimpses of it against A&M. You saw glimpses of it against Missouri. It's just like put together a game. You saw glimpses of it against Georgia in the first half where it's just like finish a drive, finish a half, finish a game. And they haven't been able to do that. And, whether it is execution or coaching, and like the truth is it's probably a combination of both. Figure out a way to get it done. Just figure out a way to get it done.
There are some plays that are getting drawn up that would be effective if they were not drop passes. I mean, the Cam Coleman one would be a touchdown. Another one where Jackson overthrew Coleman against Oklahoma.
2 against Oklahoma.
Missed field goals, a high snap inside the 3 where I think totally threw off the
missed Singleton deep against Georgia.
Yeah, missed Singleton on the reverse with Damari didn't hand it off. He'd have walked in. There's a lot of different plays that are drawn up. There is execution. And then there's also scratch your head play calling. 2nd and 6, 2nd and 8, let's run it. I mean, just, there's both. There's both. Trust me.
Darrell, how can people check out everything you've got going on?
Follow me on X, DAP6410. It's been lively lately. You could also catch me Wednesdays and Fridays with you, and then Sunday nights. I apologize. I couldn't jump on last Sunday night. Was under the weather, but I'm back at it. So I'll be there this Sunday. The Barncast.
Yeah. Yep. I couldn't make it last Sunday either, but I should be back this week. Please like the video. Please subscribe. We'll see you next time. This has been Locked on Auburn.